This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefravain series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 3, Ashes. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 3.
Hi, I'm Barry J. Northern from the weekly horror fiction podcast Cast Macabre. Cast Macabre runs a wide range of stories from all around the world. Some have classic supernatural tropes, others take the everyday to the extreme, some make you laugh, others shudder, but they're all delightfully dark in some way. We run stories by new writers and established writers alike, and occasionally drag old horror classics out into the light. Search iTunes and visit castmacabre.org for more information. Now, for the story so far. Gerard is singled out for abuse by a warder named Rule, who clearly believes Gerard has been sleeping with Dakar. Gerard's health deteriorates again under the hideous conditions on the slave deck. One day, Arundel comes to the slave deck and Gerard thinks he's about to be discovered. However, Dakar appears and turns Arundel away. Her interventions, however, are too infrequent to give Gerard real hope. One day, during a storm, Rule breaks one of Gerard's ribs, making it impossible for him to row without agony. Gerard expects to be tossed overboard the next day. However, when Dakar finds out, she has Gerard placed in the holding cell, where he partially recovers before returning to the benches. Rule is rumoured to have gone mad. Towards midsummer, the ship is taken by fawn pirates. Gerard is giddy with the prospect of freedom, but when the fawns see that he is obviously a Grishnard, they seem set to throw him overboard with the crew. While Gerard waits to learn their verdict, Gawain strolls onto the slave deck.
Chapter 7. Invitation.
Don't worry, I'll get this straightened out.
Gawain was standing outside one of the holding cells, talking to Gerard through the bars.
I'm sure you will.
Gerard felt dazed. He'd been given clothes, which hung on him. He couldn't have kept them up without a belt. Still, it felt amazing to be allowed to bathe in a bucket of water, to be clothed again, and spoken to. In fact, he'd been spoken to for the last watch more rapidly, and by more shouts at once, than he could remember since before his life as a Leon.
The problem is, it's not my ship.
Said Gawain.
Technically, I'm just a bookkeeper.
Gerard nodded. He'd gathered that from the way the captain spoke to Gawain. The captain was a Zed from the Lawless Lands, who knew just enough about Wefravain to have no use for Grishnards. He was employed by a wealthy fawn merchant in Murdant, who'd grown up in Wefravain, worked for the Resistance for a time, and then moved to the Lawless Lands. He now owned several pirate ships that preyed on Grishnard traffic between the two areas. Conveniently, he could then staff several of his enterprises with freed fawn slaves, who were usually absurdly grateful and willing to work for low wages. Gawain explained all this at great speed while Gerard was trying to dress, and someone was cutting his hair. The captain dragged from Gerard the story of his imprisonment, and between Gerard and Gawain, he patched together Gerard's history. The captain wasn't sure what to do. All the slaves on Grishnard's ships were released and offered employment. They'd never found a Grishnard among the rowers. Gerard thought the captain would have killed him, but Gawain's determined opposition made him hesitate. Bookkeeper Gawain might be, but he clearly had more than the average clerk's vote in what happened aboard the ship. Gerard also pleaded for Dakar. She was only a girl and an excellent healer. However, the captain insisted that no female had been found among the ship's crew. Gerard felt ill. He wondered whether she'd been thrown overboard in the initial rush. He wondered whether one of the Fawn sailors might have found her and offered to hide her in exchange for favors.
She is clever, though. Could she have hidden herself somewhere aboard ship?
It would be like her to have a bolt hole.
No one can sit still and quiet like a Dakar.
So he stopped asking about her and didn't give as thorough a description as he could have. In the end, Gwaine convinced the captain to take Gerard back to Merdant and get a decision about him from their financier. They were on their way to port, heavy with 2 prizes. Winter was coming, so the main shipping season was almost over.
I am sorry about all this.
Gwaine told Gerard, when Gerard had been locked in the holding cells.
It really will be all right.
Gerard looked at the ceiling.
Gwaine, this morning I was a galley slave, and a Leon with nothing to do but row until I collapsed. This evening I'm a Grishnard again, and no one seems to be starving me or beating me. I'm content.
Gwaine smiled.
I can't believe you're alive. It's been almost a year, Gerard. And I did look. I wasn't totally ungrateful, but I was so sick I couldn't begin for a red month. Everyone said Silvio had killed you. I learned the truth eventually, but the trail was cold by then, and the Shelts who deal in Grishnard slaves in Wefervain are so secretive. You were supposed to have been sold to a galley at the beginning. That's what threw me, the mill.
They were quiet for a moment. Gerard had never been a natural conversationalist, and now he felt as though he'd lost any skill he ever possessed. He watched Gwaine curiously. This person he knew and did not know. Quarry, almost friend, stranger. Gwaine grinned.
Hold on a moment. Not that you have much choice.
He returned some time later with a small table and chair. A young Gazumel sailor trailed behind him with a tray. Gerard laughed out loud.
Tea, Gerard?
With you?
With me. And this time you can safely drink it. The captain doesn't trust me with the keys to your cage, or I'd get you a chair.
I think I've been sitting enough lately.
The Gazumel set the tray down on the table with a clatter. He was staring at Gerard. Gerard thought he looked vaguely familiar, but could not place him. The Gazumel backed up and hurried from the room. Gwaine poured the tea and passed it to Gerard through the bars. They sipped in silence for a moment. Finally, Gerard cleared his throat.
Did you hear about my wife?
Gwaine nodded.
I'm sorry, Gerard. I'm really, really sorry. My father, well, you probably know he was fond of her. She died, and everyone thought I'd died. The next day, the wyverns asked for him at the temple. I suppose Silvio told them whose son I am. My father refused to go, and enough of his Shelts sided with him that he was able to get away. He took most of the Magian fleet and left Wefervain, sailed for the Pendulons. I've heard there's a big Grishnard population there, Shelts who've been leaving Wefervain for years and don't want to live as close as the lawless lands. The mountains are ruled by Shavier fawns. I've heard they're not getting along well with the influx of Grishnards, but it couldn't be as bad as this. No wyverns, at least.
Now, that would have to be an improvement. Did you hear anything about my griffin, Alsair?
I think he's dead, Gerard. I heard someone shot him the evening they took you away.
I knew that. And why does it still hurt? Were you ever able to tell your father you're alive?
Gwaine shrugged.
I sent him a message via a merchant vessel as soon as I was able. The journey to the Pendulons is half a year, if they wintered in the Sun-Kissed Isles, so who knows whether he'll get it, or when. I was thinking of joining him, though.
Giving up on Wefervain?
Gwaine looked down at his tea.
Wefervain has given up on me. Not that I blame them.
What do you mean? And what about your book?
I put copies of that book in every major library in the islands. Do you know what happened? Nothing. I expected at least some kind of outcry, but it didn't even generate that. Either Shelts couldn't be bothered to translate the phonetic, or they already knew the things that I told them and didn't care. I was a fool to think the words on paper could change the way Shelts behave.
Silvio could have told you that. What about the resistance? Did the plague cripple them?
Gawain shrugged.
Yes and no. They went back to operating the way they had before, in small gangs of their own species, occasionally fighting with each other. I'm barred from Asia Minor. If I go back, the Fauns there will kill me. They never completely accepted me, but they liked the resources that I brought, and they were interested in my ideas. Near the end, they put a lot of faith in me. Then I had the audacity to invite the Temple's Sea Watch and police to the island, thinking I could turn them. And it all went bad, and a lot of fawns and animals died. They blamed me for that, and they were right to do so. Now I don't even have resources to offer them. My uncle is king on Major Major, and he detests me.
Gerard thought for a moment.
You turned me.
Gawain smiled.
You were already halfway there.
His expression soured.
But I trusted my ideas too much. I thought if I appealed to your honor, you might listen. I thought if I made enough sense, Silvio might. That would have validated what I was trying to do, would have been so much more meaningful than killing you. I overreached myself.
Arrogant was Silvio's word.
But that did not seem fair.
Over-optimistic? Naive, even. Silvio, he was afraid of you. You nearly killed him with that poison book and the water sprite, and he's hard to kill.
Gawain grimaced.
I shouldn't have poisoned him with cerasiade, but I was trying to catch him alive. I wanted to incapacitate him, not kill him. I knew it would take something serious to knock him down.
The priestess,
continued Gerard,
was threatening to make me take that Selkie's place as a sacrifice because I let you steal my keys. Silvio wasn't willing to take any chances. He was going to strike as hard as he could. He'd already put infected fleas on your wolf before you even started talking, before he read your book. He couldn't have taken it back if he wanted to.
And did he want to?
Gerard thought about it.
I don't know. Silvio's a complicated person.
Gawain hesitated.
Did you hear what happened to him?
Gerard shook his head.
Do I want to?
The priestess had him killed last Red Month. I heard one of his lieutenants did it. Arundel.
He watched Gerard's face as though trying to gauge whether this was good news or bad. Gerard couldn't have said himself.
I don't think Silvio did so well after you disappeared. I heard rumors that he'd gotten more reclusive and eccentric, but he was still popular enough that she had to kill him in the middle of the night.
Gerard nodded. He felt suddenly tired and found that he didn't want to talk anymore. The pirate ship Ripple took 3 days to reach Merdant with her prizes. During this time, Gerard heard nothing of Dakar. The more he thought about it, the more strongly he suspected that she was hiding somewhere, or at least he comforted himself with that thought. He even wondered if she might creep up to his cage late at night, but he never saw her. He hoped she was getting enough to eat. Gawain took all his meals with Gerard.
I'm sorry they won't let you up on deck to exercise,
he said with a twinkle, and Gerard laughed.
That's all right. I've had a bit of exercise lately, although it would be wonderful to see the sky again.
On the second day, Gerard asked,
Where's your wolf?
She's with the Defiance. That's my ship. I actually own her, and her crew is loyal to me. I left to sail with the Ripple to Merdant, because that's a good starting point for a journey into the interior of the Lawless Lands. I've always wanted to take a journey there and see what it's like, how they live, what they read, speak, eat.
Gerard smiled.
You're going to write all that down?
Well, yes. Doesn't it seem important?
It seems interesting. Sort of.
Gawain didn't hear the sarcasm.
Yes, I thought so too. Anyway, I've always wanted to do that. I'm told it's very hot in the interior, so I plan to start in fall, travel through the winter, and come back in the spring. The Defiance is supposed to meet me at Zorn. That's the little town on the tip of the peninsula south of Merdant. They're doing a tour along the northern coast, an area we've sailed before.
A tour?
Gawain smiled.
They'll take any Grishnod ships they think they can catch. We don't kill helpless captives, incidentally. However, I can't change the way other Shelts do business. I used to think I could, but no. The Defiance's tour should bulk up our finances enough to leave in the spring, unless something changes.
So you're really leaving Wefravane?
Yes. Do you want to come? I haven't had any news from my father, and I can't tell you whether I'll be a prince or a clerk when I get there. But you're welcome in any case.
Gerard thought about it.
Thess, Alcer, Silvio, all dead. Marcella will surely try to kill me if she finds me. Yes, I'd like to go with you.
To the interior of the Lawless Lands as well.
Gerard shrugged.
I've got nothing else to do. Someone told me once that I'm good for discouraging pickpockets.
And for some reason that made him feel sick, and he didn't want to talk anymore. Chapter 8. Acts of Mercy. Gawain ate breakfast with Gerard the morning the Ripple reached port in Mordant, and then went with the captain to talk to their financier about getting Gerard set loose. Gerard wasn't worried.
I have perhaps grown a little complacent.
He did not find himself thinking or brooding about the future as he once had.
You can't control anything as a slave, and eventually you stop trying. No choices.
He shook his head.
Stop. Just stop. He's dead. Quit thinking about him.
Gerard wondered again whether he was sorry that Silvio had died, that he'd met exactly the fate that Gerard had predicted and tried to rescue him from.
I wanted to ask you why you sold me. I wanted to shout at you. Maybe I wanted to kill you, or maybe save you. Stop thinking about him. It's over. This isn't one of Thessalin's ballads. Everything doesn't have to make sense in the end.
Gerard watched the play of sunlight on the straw at his feet. It felt good to do nothing, to have something hopeful in front of him.
I really did die in that room on Measure. I died, and I woke up as someone else. I'll still be someone else even after I walk off the ship as a free Shelt. Gerard Holivar, and everything he knew and loved and wanted is dead.
He heard the door to the room open and looked up, expecting to see Gawain. Instead, he saw the Gazumel sailor, and finally he remembered.
Pater.
The youngster he'd questioned from the foam the night he got his promotion. The one who'd told him about a strange tunnel on Meja Minor. The one he'd released, who'd eluded Silvio, who had apparently gotten clean away. Gerard was glad to see he'd survived. However, Pater didn't look glad to see Gerard. His mouth was pressed into a firm line.
"In here,"
he called. 3 more Shelts trooped into the room. Gerard felt a chill. They were all large hunty. He glanced at Pater.
Who were they?
The Gazumel didn't answer. He handed one of the hunty a key.
"My master wants him out of here immediately."
Gerard couldn't imagine that Gawain had failed, and he'd been sold within less than a quarter watch.
Who ordered this?
The hunty unlocked the cage, stepped in quickly, and grabbed him. Gerard tried to fight. He was a head taller than all of them, and strong, but they were strong too, and they bore him to the ground. He stared up at Pater while they shackled him. The fawn spit on Gerard.
"You're not so scary now."
Suddenly, Gerard understood.
He talked to me, told me everything he knew. He surely didn't tell the Resistance that when he rejoined them.
Gerard saw hatred as well as fear in the youngster's face.
I frightened and bullied him.
He heard Silvio's voice in his head.
Acts of mercy have a way of coming back to haunt you.
Why do you always have to be right, Silvio? Pater?
Said Gerard, trying to keep his voice under control.
I won't tell anyone that you talked to me. I'm glad you got away.
The Gazumel's big brown eyes were bright with scorn.
"No, you won't tell, and I'm so glad that you're glad. That really makes me feel good, sir. Now you can join Sammer and Mel and all those Shelts you killed from the foam."
He whirled and left the room. The hunty jerked Gerard to his feet. They didn't hit him, not yet. Gerard didn't want to risk injury unless there was a clear chance of escape, so he submitted. They put a metal collar around his neck and led him up through the ship and onto the main deck. Only a few sailors were about, and they barely glanced up as Gerard was taken down the gangplank. He thought, belatedly, that he should have called to them. It was hard to remember that speech might actually accomplish something. For the first time in months, he felt the wind on his face, and he saw the open sky.
I can get out of this. I've survived too much to die now. Who are you? Where are you taking me?
He expected to be smacked for this, but to his surprise, no one hit him, although no one said anything either. The Hunty began muttering excitedly among themselves in their own language. They led him through the busy morning traffic, past vendors and carts and throngs of shouting children, past shops and old stone and plaster buildings. The air smelled of the sea and rang with the cries of seabirds. Gerard could hear a sound in the distance, a dull roar growing louder. They were entering a poorer section of town, the buildings dingy, the shelves more ragged, fewer shops, and more of the cheaper sort of inn. The roar grew until Gerard saw a crowd up ahead, all gathered around a massive pit. He couldn't see the bottom from this angle, but he could guess what was in it.
I might be in trouble.
It was a fighting pit. Even without knowing the language, Gerard realized that his captors were already exchanging bets. They took him down a flight of stairs to a room that must be on a level with the pit and put him in a cage. The front wall of the cage was barred. It had stone and mortar side walls and a solid wood back wall. Gerard suspected that the back wall could be lifted from above, opening onto the pit itself when his captors were ready for him. No warning. No way to see what was out there. The Hunty pushed him into a cage, unlocked his shackles, and shut the door. They did it quickly, all three hovering over him, no chance of escape. Gerard stood there in his ill-fitting clothes. He was fairly clean, and his hair was cut, but he knew he must look like a slave. Anyone who saw his arms could guess what he'd been doing last summer.
No one will question this. The Shelts who brought me probably think they brought a legitimate slave with the captain's blessing. I was in a cell after all.
The cages were made so that the occupants could not see one another, but Gerard heard the occasional rumbling growl and surmised that not all the occupants were Shelts. He breathed deeply, tried to calm himself.
I'm strong. I've been well fed lately. I can get myself out of this.
The three Hunty had gone away, and he didn't see any guards. His cage did not have any straw or blankets. It did not even have a slop bucket, and there wasn't much excrement on the floor.
Most prisoners don't stay here long.
Gerard examined the lock. It looked solid. He wished he knew anything at all about locks, but he couldn't think what he would pick it with, even if he knew how. He listened to the roar above, rising and falling. Finally he heard a crescendo and guessed that something had died in the pit. He tensed. But then he heard the rattle of a wooden door some distance away and guessed that another cage had been opened. He tried to think of a way out. It didn't help that he kept hearing Silvio's sarcastic lecture in the back of his mind.
If you question a Shelt, frighten him and hurt him, and then let him go, he will not thank you for your mercy. He will hold a grudge.
I know. Shut up.
He rubbed his eyes and shook his head.
I'm having conversations with a dead person. I must be going mad.
Then the wooden back wall of his cage gave a rattle and lifted. You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier. To view these illustrations and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard,
Norm Sherman,
as Silvio,
Justin McCumber,
as Pater,
Chris Lester.
as Gwaine. Sound effects for this podcast were provided by SoundSnap, the Free Sound Project, and Sound Dogs. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Everywhere, also by Beth Quist. Both were licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. Music for Book 3 of Cowry Catchers included selections from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com and Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. It also included additional music from Beth Quist, Diana Rowan, and Jamie Saber, all from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed and used according to the terms of the websites. For details, this is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works. I hope you enjoyed the story.
Sunlight sparkling in the forest, dancing, dancing on the alpine waters. Ride the moonbeam into the galaxy. Second star to the left and straight on and straight on and straight on till river when I find us gazing.
And I'm back. This is 2025 Abby coming to you with some comments on the episode. So, the gentleman who introduced this was Barry J. Northern from Cast Macabre. He is a great voice actor, I think you could tell in the little bit parts that he did. It looks to me like Cast Macabre ran its last episode on October 2 of 2013. Looks like you could still get those episodes if you wanted to, so feel free to go check them out. This section of the story is really sad, obviously, but it also has this dreamlike quality that I do like, and I'm happy still with my music choices for this section. Several people have commented on the Discord thread for the Cowry Catchers relaunch that they also are kind of fond of this section. And guys, I'm sorry. The gentleman who cuts my grass has chosen this moment to show up. I don't think you can hear him, but again, we are sitting at my kitchen table, and that's the kind of recording this is. Yeah, it's kind of a dreamlike feeling. It is intended to evoke that scenario where you've lost. The worst thing has happened. The bad thing has happened. And yet there is kind of a freedom in that because nothing worse can really happen. And I know there's a sense in which something worse can always happen, but when the thing that you feared most has happened, then there's nothing else to do or fear. And I'm sure everyone can think of a situation in their own life where something really bad has happened, and you just kind of marinate in it for a while. And I can remember sections of my life where it felt like sadness was a coat that I just put on every morning and went out into the world wearing. And there was no struggle left because the bad thing had happened. And there was nothing to struggle against, and there was nothing really to do except survive it. And if you keep living, then you do survive it, and you get to the other side of it. Anyway, this section of the story has that kind of dreamlike, you've been stunned, and you can't swim anymore, and you're just kind of a limp fish floating downstream. And it's all you can do to keep breathing. Like that's all you can do. It's just keep breathing, keep putting one foot in front of the other. You don't have any energy to fight, but you're still alive. And anyway, I do like the moodiness of this section of the story. And probably because I like the music, I let the after music on these episodes go on longer than I usually would. I don't know if that's annoying. I could trim them for this podcast, because usually I let after music go for like 5 or 10 seconds and then I trim it, but I think I let these go for like 30 seconds. But I did really like the music, and I like the way it fit with the story. I assume you know how to hit the fast forward button if you don't want to listen to the entire 20 or 30 seconds of after music that I let play at the end of some of these episodes. Alright, I don't want to say too much here because I could easily give spoilers. I will talk to you more after the next episode. This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain Saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain Saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010, all rights are reserved to the author.